Hello and welcome to a new and fresh episode on a very interesting topic, pitfalls and problems in reporting. Our subject expert today is Mohammad Shariq and I am Sakshi Mandwal. Mohammad Shariq is a journalist and researcher with more than a decade of industry as well as teaching experience. Mohammad Shariq started his journalistic career with the country's largest news network. He has been associated with almost all the departments of a news channel as reporting, desk, production, etc. Now he is associated with IMS Unison University, Dehradun. In today's episode, we will discuss the challenges faced by the reporters in the field. We will also discuss about the various pitfalls of field reporting. This topic will enlighten you to make way in the field of reporting for and media. What is reporting? Firstly, we should understand the word reporting. Reporting is generally gathering or collection of information. In a very general way, we should know this by a simple example. Mother wants to know from his son about the function he attended. He gives all the related information to his mother when he reached there, whom he met, how it was, where it was held, prominent personalities there, and so on. Same thing being done by a journalist in a professional way to the readers or viewers is called news reporting. A reporter has to follow some grammar, ethics, and parameters to accomplish the goal. The objective of news reporting is to educate, inform, and entertain the audience, whether it is done by the flair of the pen, by the use of the camera, or any other medium. Before we discuss the problems of reporting, we must understand about the news. Nose for news. Importance and interest are two factors that present unlimited variety and thus explain why an event is newsworthy for a newspaper or the news channel. Why a news item becomes world news while another may be fit only for a local? Importance and interest are often described as news value. Only its value distinguishes news from non-news. Identifying and measuring these values generally is called news sense. It is commonly believed that reporters identify news by intuition. But this intuition, which should be called as news sense, develops in newsmen who subconsciously learn how to measure the news values. A reporter must have a sense to pick the unusual things happening within the society. For a reporter, news value must have the change around him. If nothing happens, means no change. And the world is not static. Every moment things are different from the moment before. Change should be picked by a news person, whether it is small or big, the people affected by it. Conflict is another major news value. Actual conflicts and even the danger of conflicts make news as they tend to bring about major change. Tension and suspense often associated with conflicts are also regarded as news value. Disaster in any form is directly associated with the people, whether it is natural calamity like earthquake, typhoons, volcano eruptions, or it may be of man-made like Bhopal gas tragedy, boat mishaps, plane crashes, etc. Progress is also a news value, as it is a positive result of efforts made by the society. It improves quality of life. Sometimes stories related to progress inspire somebody in the society. Consequence and cause also make a newsworthy. Immediate and long-term consequence of any event makes the news like use of nuclear weapons. Price hike in petrol and diesel causes the inflation, makes a news and affected number of people. Prominence and eminence. Involvement of any prominent personalities in an event adds to its news value and it is directly proportional to the prominence of the person. If Amir Khan becomes ambassador for hygiene program, becomes worthy enough. Timeliness is one of the most important aspects of news value. In a highly competitive world of journalism, every medium tries to be first with news. News is a highly perishable commodity, and therefore, every medium tries to give the latest news to score a point over the other. Breaking news culture is much developed in electronic media just to be number one in providing the news. Proximity. News is meant for human beings. The prime concern of a man is himself. Then he is interested in his neighborhood. If Prime Minister visited Bhopal, people of Bhopal are more interested in the activities of PM's visit rather than in Jammu. Newspapers and news channels give more and more space to this news. Novelty. Any unusual thing happens in the society attracts the audience. If a handicapped man climbed the Himalayan mountain, makes news. In a diverse nation, India, unusual things are happening at every corner. Human interest. Almost everything in news concerns human beings, but this particular news value is the emotional context of the news event. Anything that appeals to everybody, not of the interest in the subject, but because everybody shares human experience, has news value. Human interest is the element with which the reader identifies anything familiar that stirs his feelings. Human interest content of stories is higher when ordinary people involved in extraordinary situations. If a reporter or correspondent follows all the above elements in a professional and efficient way, his or her reports must be acceptable to all. In the 21st century, where information technology plays a vital role in our daily life, the news media is very much dependent on news gadgets and software of swift transferring of the information. Reporters work as watchdogs of the society. They stand ready to detect and report anything dangerous to the public's physical, economic, political, and it may be a waste of public money, pollution, racial discrimination, child labor, gender discriminations, hazardous drugs, unsafe toys, etc. Reporters provide information that will keep the political as well as administrative system honest. Recognizing and evaluating a news story. As soon as the reporter understands what the story is and whom it will be delivered to. But when it comes to analyzing the components of putting together a story yourself, how well do you fare? Can you dash it off as quickly as you can tell it to a friend? Or a reporter can sit to pen down the story. If a reporter doesn't have necessary facts, 5W and H, he or she can't shape the story properly. Reporters always should have more information than they think it is necessary. They must also know what is important to the audience and have enough idea to propagate the story. Problems in reporting. First is lack of journalistic knowledge. Knowledge of anything is different from journalistic knowledge. It is a technical kind of thing depending solely on 5 W's: when, where, who, why and what. And H, how. One has to report on importance of 5 W's and H. Angle of the story should be based only on where the event happened, what happened in the event, who is involved in it, and when it happened, why it is done, and how involved in it. For newspaper, news writing, inverted pyramid style is applied, having headline, lead and body of the story. Headline is the highlighter of the news story. It only gives you the information about what is inside the story, whether it is desirable for reader or not. After seeing the headline, the reader goes into the story. It must not have full information, having some curiosity for the readers. Lead is the first paragraph of the story, which contains most important aspect of the news story based on 5 W's and H. Body of the story contains all the information, 5 W and H in detail. On the other hand, in electronic media, especially in television and radio, pyramid style of writing is used. In TV, visuals support the story. A reporter tells the story according to the visuals of the event and justifies his story. For an electronic media reporter, he must know about the grammar of the picture and shots. Second, lack of news sense. It is the basic quality of a reporter, correspondent and editor. Every reporter has to have news sense to pick the news from the bucket of events for their audience. He should be able to compare various news values and decide where to begin his story and should not miss important details. News sense can be developed gradually when the reporter works according to the basics of the journalism and his or her interest to dig out the news for their audience.
Can you imagine how many events or incidents or accidents might be taking place right now when I am talking to you? There might be millions of things which might be happening around the world. If you look at your own country, India, there might be thousands of important incidents or accidents or stories which might be happening right now. But not everything is covered by the media, and it is impossible to cover each and every event. So, in that case you have to decide the importance of the news which comes in your way. This thing which is called news sense is very important for any news reporter as well as editors, because if you don't understand the importance of a news item, then sometimes you may miss a very important news item, or at other times you may pick up or choose wrong story which is not so important and waste your time on that story. So, developing news sense is a very important thing.
Number 3. Lack of beat knowledge. In journalism, the term beat is used for the specialized area of reporting, that is, sports, business, politics, legal, international affairs, rural, etc. A reporter must have knowledge of his beat. Nowadays, because of less manpower, agencies send the reporter to cover any beat. Such exercise ruins the essence and objectivity of the story and sometimes put a question mark on the credibility of the organization. Fourth, lack of command over language. Language is the only thing which makes the communication possible. Language, according to the audience, always gives the maximum feedback. In media, especially broadcast media, airtime is very expensive. A reporter needs to convey their message or content in a precise and accurate way, and he or she must have a good vocabulary power to communicate with the audiences. Command over language and the talent of delivering the message in short is the demand of the media organization. If a reporter doesn't have word power, he fumbles during live interaction. It is not a sign of good communication and the viewer couldn't get the message completely. A reporter may not use such words which are not understandable to the general audience. For example, a Hindi reporter using some English words or jargons in a story. The viewer gets stuck at that point and the aim of delivering the message is stopped. Five, improper source of information. Source of information is very important for any reporter. Proper source of information makes the news story more authentic and makes the news item different and unique from the other news stations. Most of the time, beat reporter has its own sources within the specific field of reporting, which always provide inputs for the story. When a reporter digs out some information for the benefit of the public, he never discloses the identity of source for protecting him. In a number of corruption cases, reporter keeps the source out of the frame and exposes the culprits. Sixth, lack of interpretation of news. After having the news sense and proper understanding of news world, a reporter then interprets the stories based on the facts and figures. He can build his opinion about the event and report it. For example, a reporter can publish a story on increase in inflation in near future as the government announces price hike in diesel and petrol. A reporter can interpret any sort of information which will be directly affecting the public. In politics, the reporter can interpret the moves through body language and versions of the politicians. Seventh, lack of follow-ups. Follow-ups are very important in reporting, which is almost not in practice these days. It is reporter's own responsibility to follow the story until its last phase. For example, a reporter exposes an official taking bribe. he has to follow the story till its end. In human interest, stories like expose of illegal blood banks, child labor, improper distribution of scholarships, etc., follow-ups are needed to keep the society informed. Eighth, lack of objectivity. Reporters should not allow their personal bias or ideas to creep into the story. They should not take sides but try to cover all the different viewpoints to achieve balance in the story. Objectivity maintains the interest of the viewer and leads the story to its proper and meaningful conclusion. Ninth, lack of accuracy. A reporter should strive for accuracy. He should check and recheck his facts till he is satisfied that he has them accurate. In this respect, he should not take any chance, as accuracy is directly proportional to the credibility of a reporter and his organization. In case of dates and names, the reporter may rely on his memory, but the person at news desk must check them from reference material. When there is a doubt, he should leave it out. It is better not to say a thing than to say it wrong. Prompt delivery of news by the reporter sometimes ignores the accuracy, which makes the story incredible. Tenth, lack of alertness. A reporter should always be alert while dealing with the subjects. Many major news breaks in the past were possible because of alertness of reporters. Alertness can stop the mistakes and blunders to go on air. Eleventh, lack of swiftness. In today's world, speed matters everywhere. A person who cannot work fast cannot be a good reporter. While maintaining all of the desirable qualities, a reporter should strive to work faster. He should think fast, decide fast, and report fast to meet the deadlines. Twelfth, lack of curiousness. Reporters should have curiosity. It is useful in developing just for facts that may lead to better stories. This characteristic will keep on improving with every passing day. Reporters should reach as much as possible to improve their awareness level. Thirteenth, lack of patience. It is a quality which helps a reporter in a big way for many a times or almost daily. He has to test his patience, self-control or restraint that helps one to endure waiting, provocation, injustice, suffering or any of the unpleasant situations of time and life. Most of the times, a reporter waits for someone or something, and patience gives him the willingness to wait without becoming disgruntled or anxious. Many of the times, he has to tolerate other people's shortcomings and has to remain unperturbed by someone else's slowness or other quirks. To meet the deadlines, a reporter not only loses patience on the other's hand, he loses the vital thing which is expected from what source. Fourteenth, lack of farsightedness. A reporter can judge some future happening by his power of farsightedness driven by his journalistic skills. He can think ahead and prepare for eventualities. The quality helps them in identifying the process and people who will be important in future. Reporter can watch such processes and cultivate people who may become important news sources in coming days of his profession. It helps reporters in determining the importance of the event. For example, business correspondent can prepare themselves for annual budget well before February. And a sports reporter can design and plan for the World Cup in advance. Planning is one of the important stages of any media, whether it is in print, radio, television. Good planning always gives you the best results if you implement it effectively. Fifteenth, lack of tactfulness. A reporter should be tactful. He should have the ability to handle sensitive people and situations gracefully. He should be considerate of others and should be careful not to embarrass. A reporter should have flexible and sociable personality and should have a nature that relishes variety of experiences. He should have an understanding of human behavior and emotions. Sixteenth, lack of initiative. Reporters should have an outgoing nature with initiative and drive. These qualities will help him get acquainted with news sources and get stories from them. Reporter needs assertiveness and aggressiveness to be successful in their career. Seventeenth, lack of fearlessness and frankness. Fearlessness and frankness helps in asking unpleasant questions and taking risk to find out the truth. The reporter must have a habit of asking questions because with conversation almost half of the story is being developed. Eighteenth, lack of self-discipline. Reporters are famous for dragging the public figures for its smallest activity. But on the other hand, a media person should also be disciplined. One can achieve a degree of proficiency in reporting by systematic effort and self-control. In this sense, self-discipline suggests dedication and firm commitment to excel in the field of journalism. Reporting is a challenging job. Every day he has to face new things and learn by doing. Reporters should be diligent. Their job requires painstaking exertion of intensive care and effort, alertness and dedication, which we have discussed earlier. The qualities of a reporter are basically the qualities of good human beings. That's why a good reporter as human being understands the society very much. There are various ways to gather the information through literature, websites, incidents and meetings. Meeting the people or interviewing is one of the most significant and important ways of gathering information and facts. It is a very useful input for any medium. The most important thing in interviewer is the qualities of knowledge, command over language, command over subject, fearlessness, tactfulness, calmness and patience. For an interview, a reporter must know your subject as completely as possible. For example, if you want to interview a criminal lawyer, policeman or any accused, you should have complete knowledge of the subject, that is criminal law, their acts, offence, whether it is a cognizable or non-cognizable. We have discussed earlier that because of work pressure, different beat reporters sent to other beat, which most of the times makes injustice to the story. Reporting or to extract the information is an arduous task, but a well-trained reporter uses their skills. For an electronic media reporter, he should also have the knowledge of camera, lights, audio equipment, shots to use it with precision. TV reporters should know the importance of BTC, its location and its kind. A reporter can face problems when he does not have the specific knowledge of what he is doing, why is he doing, for whom he is doing, why he is doing and how it is going to be furnished. Good and efficient reporting always establishes the news organization amongst millions of audiences.
Reporters should read a lot, not only newspapers and magazines but also books. Because they are a great source of information and news. Because as a reporter, when you go out to gather news, if you don't have a command over your subject, if you don't know your subject properly, then it will be very difficult for you to go to the right source. For example, you have to go to the right person to get the right information. So, if you don't have command over your subject, you will not be able to identify the right person who can give you the right information. And then if you don't have a command over your subject, and if you go to somebody and try to extract some news from him or her, and the persons, the subject, realize that you don't know the subject, in that case he or she may like to fool you. But this is important, particularly in case of politicians, because politicians always love to mislead the reporters, and they want to exploit them to their advantage. Language is another important aspect. For any reporter, you should have very good command over language. If you don't have a very good command over language, then you will not be able to articulate your views, or you will not be able to structure your questions properly. Besides language, it is also necessary for a reporter to be very attentive. If you are not attentive, in that case you may miss some important points. For example, if you are interviewing a politician as a reporter, he says something, he answers your question, and there is an important supplementary question which should be asked, and if you are not attentive, you will not be able to ask that supplementary question, and in that case you may miss a very important piece of information. They should also develop good sources. There are reporters who unfortunately don't have rapport with their sources, so developing sources is also important. So these are some of the things which come either as a hindrance or as a positive support in the way of a reporter.
Conclusion. Reporting is a very important part of journalism. We have already discussed in this episode the requirements for a good journalist. A reporter must have a proper knowledge of his or her beat, proper journalistic sense, quality to pick the news from the society, and above all, the needs of their audiences. We also discussed some problems faced by the reporter daily in the field, which they tackle or learn by hit and trial. The topmost quality is of distinguishing the news from non-news from their surroundings is a gradual process. They can get it by the proper training and are basically developed in the sense as the time goes on. Nose for news gives confidence to the reporters. Some problems like lack of knowledge, command over language, word power and command over subject can be developed by the reporter himself. In this episode, the number of problems of reporting have been discussed in deep just to provide an outlook to the budding future journalists to explore their talent in disseminating the message amongst the audiences. But remember, a professional journalist can change the society, but a non-professional can misuse the power of media, which is not good for the democracy. That is all that we have for you for today. We hope you enjoyed this session. See you again next time. Till then, thank you and namaskar.